It's not so long ago that in 2006, a young man was found confused in the Ukrainian capital, Kiev. He was wearing old-fashioned clothes and had an old camera hanging around his neck, which led people to think he was crazy. But they didn't know that this would turn out to be a story of time travel. The man introduced himself as Sergei Ponomarenko. When the police asked for his ID, they discovered that it was issued by a country that no longer existed. Now, it's important to note that Ukraine used to be a part of the Soviet Union. On the day this incident occurred, 2 decades had already passed since the dissolution of the Soviet Union. While Ukraine had encountered IDs from the Soviet Union before, this particular person appeared to be 25 years old, with a birth date of 1932 listed on the ID. Not only was the birth date perplexing, but the picture on the ID also matched the appearance of the young man. The police struggled to comprehend this extraordinary tale. How could a person born in 1932 possibly look only 25 years old, despite the passage of 74 years by 2006? He asked Sergei what the date was today. After thinking for a while, Sergei said it was April 23, 1958. At that point, the policeman suspected that this person might be a madman. They took him to a mental hospital where Dr. Pablo Kutrikov examined his mental health. Sergei had no idea what was happening to him. The doctor asked him if he remembered how he had come straight from 1958 to 2006, and Sergei explained that he had been walking around the city during the day, taking good photographs. He mentioned seeing a strange object flying in the sky. When the doctor inquired about the object's appearance, Sergei responded that he couldn't explain it, but he had captured a picture of it with his camera. He demonstrated this by moving his camera forward. The doctor was greatly surprised by this, and his astonishment only grew when he examined the camera. It turned out to be a very old Yashica Flex camera. Despite its old condition, no one suspected it was such an antique device. The issue arose when attempting to retrieve photos from the camera, as the film used in it had been discontinued in the 1970s. An expert named Vadim Posner was called in to help, and upon inspecting the camera, he determined that it had been manufactured in 1956. Things became even more perplexing when the developed photographs revealed very old pictures of various cities, featuring buildings and streets from the 1950s era. Some of the buildings in the pictures had already been demolished. Interestingly, there were also photos of Sergei and his girlfriend in front of these same buildings. The Sergei in those photos looked identical to the one sitting in front of the doctor, wearing the same clothes and exhibiting the same appearance as he did in the 48-year-old pictures. The last photo on the roll showed an unidentified flying object, as Sergei had described. Despite the incredulity of the situation, the doctor had no choice but to accept that this person had indeed traveled from 1958 to 2006. He exited the hospital and never returned. Sergei Ponomarenko had vanished without leaving any evidence. If he left anything behind, it was his camera, some photographs, and his peculiar story. A story that becomes increasingly perplexing as one tries to comprehend it. When the police delved into the case, they discovered that a man named Sergei Ponomarenko had indeed gone missing from Kiev in the 1960s. The woman who appeared with him in the photographs was also located by the police. She is now a 70-year-old woman. She informed the police that in 1958, Sergei had indeed disappeared, but he returned within a few days. According to this woman, he disappeared again in 1960 and never returned. However, there was another twist to the story. Years later, she received a photo with a note written in 2050. In the photo, he appeared older, and the background was of the city of Kiev. The only difference was that Kiev City was now full of skyscrapers. He also wrote in the note that he would return soon, but for some reason, he never did. The story of Sergei Ponomarenko was featured on a Ukrainian TV channel, and soon it went viral on the internet. However, the question remains, is this story truly authentic? Before delving into that, let's first explore whether time travel is genuinely possible. There is no doubt that we are constantly engaged in a form of time travel. Time traveling into the future indicates that we are progressing toward the future at a speed of 1 hour per hour. However, if someone were to suggest that 1.5 hours pass within an hour, they would find themselves half an hour ahead of others in the future. This concept was initially presented by Albert Einstein in his theory of special relativity. This theory explains that time and space doesn't progress uniformly. Rather, it varies based on the speed and mass of an object, leading to changes in its passage at different rates. Likewise, time and space is also influenced by an object's mass and speed. If we were to venture to Jupiter, a planet with substantial mass, time would move at a noticeably slower pace. According to this theory, the higher an object's speed, the slower time progresses. For instance, if we were aboard a spaceship traveling through the universe at the speed of light for 5 years, and then returned to Earth, our clock would show only 5 years past, while Earth's clock would have progressed by 36 years. This distinction in time is termed time dilation. The Halfel-Keating experiment of 1971 further confirmed Einstein's theory. 12 clocks were synchronized and distributed, 4 placed on an eastward-bound plane, 4 on a westward-bound plane, and 4 left on the ground. Upon circling the globe, significant time discrepancies were observed. Clocks on the eastbound plane lagged behind the Earth clock by 59 nanoseconds, indicating slower time passage. Conversely, clocks on the westbound plane advanced by 273 nanoseconds. This divergence stems from the counterclockwise rotation of our planet. Gravity also plays a role in potential future time travel. As per Einstein's theory of general relativity, higher gravity leads to slower time progression. In a 2010 experiment, 2 atomic clocks were placed at varying heights, a mere 33 centimeters apart. The lower clock experienced greater gravity, causing its time to elapse more slowly than the higher clock. Although the disparity was minimal due to the short distance, it's evident that places with intense gravity, such as black holes, could cause time to pass much more slowly than on Earth. This phenomenon is depicted in the movie Interstellar, where individuals on a planet near a black hole experience 1 hour equivalent to 7 years on Earth. Time changes due to speed and gravity are so common that even the GPS satellite, housing the world's most accurate clock, requires frequent adjustment to match Earth's time. These satellites orbit Earth at a speed of 11,300 kilometers per hour, causing their clocks to run slower. Without adjusting their time, our mobile devices wouldn't provide accurate locations. Theoretical time travel to the future is indeed possible, but practical implementation is impossible due to the inability to build a spacecraft capable of traveling the speed of light. Even gravitational time travel requires to reach to a black hole, which is nearly 1,560 light-years away. In the future, humans may develop solutions for time travel's mysteries. However, doubts arises about the story of Sergei Ponomarenko, first aired on a Ukrainian TV show called Aliens in 2012. The story featured in the 3rd episode of the program Time Travel. A major flaw emerged from a CCTV video of Sergei Ponomarenko leaving the hospital, showing the date as Wednesday, April 23, 2006, even though it was a Sunday. This suggests that the video was recorded separately, and the timestamp was added later. Additionally, the ID stamp on Sergei Ponomarenko's ID appears different from the stamps of that era. Photographs of Kiev City from 2050 displays noticeably different buildings, although upon closer inspection, they showed similarities to earlier images, indicating potential manipulation through Photoshop. No police-recorded investigation of this matter exists. Questions arise about Dr. Pablo Kutrakov's fame, as his name isn't found on any internet websites. While this story appears well created, some internet users believe it was created for the show's ratings. Time travel confusion arises from the idea that if future time travel is possible, past time travel should also be possible. While this has been shown in many science fiction movies, scientifically, it's deemed impossible due to the paradox it creates. Imagine using a time machine to travel back a decade and preventing its invention. This results in the time travel paradox. Stephen Hawking once organized a party where he was the alone attendee, then invited the public after year. This illustrates that past time travel is not possible, and it was cleared as no one else came.